The year started with some positive signals from both Ankara and Brussels, but like most of 2020, public differences came out into the open, dampening what many were hoping would be a more fruitful year for Turkey and the EU. But all is far from lost. A recent statement by the EU has stressed the need for a positive agenda between the two partners. The EU's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, echoed those wishes, saying that the bloc needs to develop a mutually beneficial relationship with Turkey. While welcoming the European Council's announcement, Turkey's foreign ministry was cautious, highlighting that the EU needs to take concrete steps to meet its own positive expectations, especially when it came to sensitive issues like disputes in the Eastern Mediterranean. But one bright spot that both sides have highlighted was trade. Last year, it was a nearly $140 billion relationship, and both sides are showing eagerness to expand it. So, are these latest overtures similar to the ones we have seen in the past, or is it a genuine outreach? What sticking points remain, and where does trust need to be reestablished most? And to answer that, joining me from Istanbul is Izzet Selim Yenel. He is Turkey's former ambassador to the European Union. And from Budapest, Zoltan Egeresi. He's a researcher at the Institute for Strategic and Defense Studies Center, a Hungarian political and security think tank. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Selim, as a former diplomat, are you optimistic that this renewed dialogue process would provide positive outcomes for both sides, and is a fresh start possible now?
Well, it seems, first of all, that the latest developments with regard to opening up or softening our approach has worked. In the last few months, Turkey has started a détente policy towards the EU, and we've seen the results in last week's summit conclusions. But this is a partial opening. There's a lot of caveats. There's a lot of conditions there. But it's a good start. At least we're not having harsh rhetoric between the two sides. And I do hope that this will be a new beginning. But there are some, let's say, obstacles still in front of us.
Yeah, sure. We're going to talk about those possible obstacles. But Zoltan, is this a genuine outreach or same old maneuvers to keep relations afloat for the sake of economic interests?
I think based on the events of the last months and even if the last years, today's rapprochement are much more meaningful for the upcoming future. Strong incentives, strong, really good positive agenda was sent for Turkey from the part of the European Union, and taking into consideration Turkish diplomatic maneuvers concerning Greece, Cyprus, launching the Cyprus talks and so on, means that right now we can have a kind of turning point in the EU-Turkey relations in order to reach a more positive cooperation.
Selim, I wonder if it's really a turning point. I want to ask you this. What do you think the EU Council President Michel wanted to say, quote, "The bloc wants to set up engagement with Turkey in a phased, conditional and reversible manner." What does that mean?
Well, it means that they're a little bit suspicious. We have a deep mistrust problem on both sides. And they're wondering if this détente or this softening approach is genuine. So they'll be actually monitoring the situation. And by June, they'll be deciding whether this is genuine or not. That's why they say it's reversible. If Turkey continues its policies that it had in the last year and does not soften its approach, then they said that they will reverse their policies. They won't be opening up again.
So where does
and that's the condition? That's what the condition is.
So where does trust need to be reestablished the most?
Well, both sides have suffered, and it's a long story. Turkey and the EU have mistrusted each other on many occasions ever since the 2018 March agreement. Turkey has abided by its rules, but the EU has not delivered on everything. And of course, the EU is not very happy with what happens in Turkey with regard to the fundamental rights, and they're not very happy with what happens in the Eastern Mediterranean.
Yes.
But we'll see what happens in the future.
So, Zoltan, how fragile, in your opinion, is this process? What are the challenges lie ahead for both sides?
Okay, here important to emphasize that the European Union practically accepted a dual approach concerning the cooperation. If Turkey maintains its exploratory talks with Greece, shows positive agenda concerning its neighbors, and also signals the cooperation concerning the migration issue, Syrian refugee issue in Turkey, which is probably one of the most important issues for the European Union. The European Union indicated that it is ready to also demonstrate its willingness to deepen its cooperation, as it was already mentioned, to start the talks about the modernization of custom union, which is Turkey's part for decades, and also to, let's say, replenish the refugee facilities in order to help the survival of Syrian refugees in Turkey.
So how likely it is for us to see some progress on Turkey's initial demands, as you've just mentioned, the refugee deal, modernization of the customs union, as well as visa liberation?
It's a huge question, and it's not that easy to make any prophecy concerning the outcomes, but I think that as high-level dialogues will be resumed in the upcoming future, the probability to reach a new agreement to revive the ongoing cooperation is relatively high compared to the previous years when the tension, when the relations were really harsh and we could see emerging tensions between the European Union and Turkey. Right now, it's really a positive opportunity.
So, Selim, what's your take on that? And additionally, is it likely that Turkey will have to make some concessions from its national interests, whether it be in Syria or Eastern Mediterranean?
Well, that's the difficult part, especially with regard to the customs union. We've demanded it for the last 5 years to be modernized, but they're setting conditions. For example, we already have some irritants on trade issues. That could be handled, but they also want the customs union to be used for all countries, all members, which means the Greek Cypriots, which we don't, and I don't think that will happen. And lastly, of course, Turkey has to abide by, again, its softened approach in the Eastern Mediterranean. All these are conditions which, at least the last two are very difficult to handle. One thing that is disturbing is that Turkey is not mentioned as a candidate anymore. We're looked at as if we are a third party.
Yes.
And we're under the rubric of Eastern Mediterranean. That is disturbing. So I call this a partial opening. It's better than having a very, very difficult dialogue. At least, we're starting somewhere. But we should not be too hopeful or too, I don't know, it's very difficult to say how things will progress.
Yeah, there isn't even a mention of Turkey's full membership to the European Union anymore. But as a former diplomat, do you believe that German Chancellor Angela Merkel and former French President Nicolas Sarkozy's calls for privileged partnership with Turkey have come true, or we aren't even near to that?
Well, I mean, we're already in a privileged partnership or some kind of a partnership. But I mean, the former President Sarkozy and the Chancellor have actually disturbed the situation. Just after we opened negotiations in 2005, these two leaders have distanced Turkey from the EU. Although we should have gone closer, we got farther away and we were pushed out. That's why we're in this situation. We're not part of the family. That's how they see us. And so it's difficult to come back. That's what I meant when I mentioned about the trust issue. As if we're not part of the family. We're not part of Europe. We're not part of the EU. All these things are combined. So we're in some kind of a partnership. It's a strange situation. It's a unique situation. We don't know how this will develop. But certainly, candidacy is far away.
Yes, unfortunately. So, Zoltan, are we likely to see more of a transactional relationship instead of a strong, genuine strategic partnership moving forward? Do you believe that trust can really be reestablished?
As I mentioned, the European Union started to apply a kind of dual approach, which makes the European foreign policy more transactionalist, as you mentioned, which means that if Turkey, in several issues which are more relevant for the European Union member state security, like refugee issues or border dispute within the Eastern Mediterranean, the European Union will be more open to give more incentives for Turkey, even financial ones, which is taking into consideration today's economic situation, would be really important. But as a whole, I agree with Mr. Ambassador that right now we cannot expect, even if the European Union is signaling really positive messages to Turkey, that in the short run, Turkey will be able to become a member, or we can see a huge relaunch, let's say, the accession talks, even if it will not be suspended in the upcoming future. It's 100% sure.
So within the framework of this renewed dialogue, let's say, Selim, what should Turkey's priorities be?
Well, first of all, we keep on mentioning trust. That's something that's very important. We should build up the trust. We should have more dialogue. In fact, the Council conclusions mentions high-level dialogues. This should be kept up. We have to talk to each other more often. This has been lacking since 2004. From 2004 up until 2015, we never had any high-level meetings.
Yes.
Only when we had the migration crisis did we have 3 summits in 4 months. This should not be the case. We should have it more regularly. We should talk to each other. This is the most crucial part. And with regard to alleviation of the burden of the migrants in Turkey, that should happen. We still haven't seen the voluntary relocation of Syrians from Turkey to the European Union. That was a promise that was given 5 years ago, and that hasn't happened yet. So there's a lot of things on both sides that have to be delivered. And the best thing to do is, to talk to each other.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk.